Hi, everyone. Today, let's talk about the upcoming Fed meeting. Then we'll go over the charts. And then we'll review my results for the day and how I'm positioned going into tomorrow. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make videos like this every single day, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. I know I showed a different article in the intro, but I do want to cover this quickly. The Fed is expected to raise 75 basis points once again here on November 2nd. And they highlight economists currently think they're going to pause rates when inflation halves, which we are not anywhere close to. If that continues, we could see 75 basis points again for quite a while. We've been raising by 75 basis points a few times in a row here, and inflation is basically staying where it's been. Maybe a slight decline, but basically where it's been for a few months. And getting back to the article I showed, they say that inflation is actually accelerating slightly before the meeting. They say the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, or PCE, rose by 0.3% in September on a monthly basis, getting up to 6.2% year over year. They also mentioned that core PCE rose by 0.5%, or 5.1% year over year, and last month's number was 4.9%. So you can see basically every metric here is going up, and we should expect that we're going to see 0.75 on Wednesday, and we shouldn't expect it to slow down. There's been a lot of rumors about the Fed starting to slow down its interest rate hikes. I just don't think that's reality yet. I think there's certainly potential for that in the future, but it's just not happening right now. They go on to reference a hard landing, and the Fed continuing to use 75 basis points, and then they mention a 50 basis points potentially in December. Of course, we would have to see that modest deceleration in wage growth and the inflation metrics that we just talked about for that to happen. But if we do see a slowing in inflation and we do see a slowing of Fed interest rates, then potentially we can see a little bit more growth in growth stocks versus the pummeling that the Nasdaq has been taking right now. Moving over to the charts, starting off with the S&P 500, you can see we really just dipped down to around 386.50 and went sideways for almost the entire day. A little bit of a rally here and there, dipped back down a little bit, but finished basically right on that center line, coming down from almost 390. We were almost at resistance here. You can see we sold off a little bit, and I expect to see a holding pattern here as we move towards that FOMC date. That's been the trend for every major economic data meeting, CPIs, major earnings. The market just kind of goes sideways. There's not a lot of volume as people don't want to put any more money at risk. Or we do see a little bit of a sell-off into the news because people are exiting their position to reduce their risk going into the news announcement. So I expect more sideways price action tomorrow, and then we should get the major reaction on Wednesday afternoon. Similar story here on the Nasdaq, came down from 282 to that mid-range of 278, basically right where I sold my puts, so I'm going to have to wait and see if I get a sign on those. We're right on this support line here. I expect to go sideways. We're still holding above that longer-term support that you can see here. So in my opinion, same story. We'll see some up and down movement, probably no major trends. Then once we get the announcement Wednesday, we'll start establishing a new direction for the markets. Moving over to IWM, the Russell 2000, you can see we're still very solidly within that trend line. Made a slightly higher high today, just like 30 cents or so, after a pretty decent dip here in the middle of the morning. So IWM still the strongest here. Couple of trend lines it's fighting. We have some resistance right here at 184 that it did bounce off a few times. And it came down and found some support in this 181 level. I would say pretty decent support anywhere between 178 and 180, but definitely a little extended here to the upside, and I expect to see a little bit of a rollover, but again, more sideways price action. Moving over to top gainers, we have Roku. Finished the day on Friday at like 54.50, got all the way up to 55.50, so $1 on a $55 stock is pretty decent. It actually rallied a little bit early in the pre-market. Jumping down to the 1 hour chart, you can see that early morning rally dipped kind of into the middle of the morning, similar to the other major indices, then rallied into the end of the day. Moving over to DraftKings, you can see big rally today, finished the day previously at like $15 and rallied all the way up to $15.73. I will highlight we're at this resistance line that's been trending down, but we do have decent support down here at $12.75 or so. We get a move down into this range down here. It seems like we're setting up for a break out of into some higher prices. This longer term trend is still bullish, and I would expect this trend line to break over time. Moving over to DXY, you can see the day started right here, 0809, then continued sideways, basically no movement. We did have some big up moves in the pre-market here. You can see 07 and 08 were big up moves and broke back into the previous range that we were still trending down, but it is a higher range than we were in If the FOMC comes out with 0.75 like everybody expects, this should go higher and that'll be bad for stocks. But if they kind of chicken out a little bit and go with half a percentage, this should continue downwards, and that'll be good for growth in equities overall. Moving over to JNK, this is actually the one you should be paying attention to. If you haven't looked at it recently or today, look at this big move down. So we came all the way down from 91.50 or so, all the way down to $90, canceling out all of the gains going back to Wednesday of last week. So big topping pattern here. You could maybe argue a head and shoulders type pattern, or maybe this is the first shoulder and we get a nice big move up. If we do see a reversal here in JNK, that should be good for stocks. But this could be leading the way here. We have JNK moving to the downside while everything else is kind of flat. And that could spell some more downward price action. Looking at TLT, you can see we had a big down day today. Dipped quite a bit down to 95.50 from 96.50. So a whole dollar there. Did bounce up a little bit after hours. I would expect this to continue downwards tomorrow in anticipation of the Fed meeting. If bonds are already starting to roll over, we should expect that 75 basis points and more downside in stocks. It would seem like the VIX might have found a little bit of support in this same range. We did talk about this previously, how this range might provide support in the $25.80 to $26 range. Got a bounce up in an inside green day here. So we closed higher after gapping up and then moving down throughout the day, but still higher than we closed on Friday. So to me, this looks like support. I would expect more volatility going into the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. Moving over to positions here, you can see I had the 181 puts in my taxable account for the IWM and the 182 puts in my IRA. Both of those expired worthless. The stock finished at 183.33, so both of these are worthless. Everything went to zero here, and I collected all of that credit. Here's the big question mark, though. I did sell some 278 puts on Friday. The stock says it finished here at 277.95. It did rally up after hours, so we'll see if I get assigned these shares or not. I will likely close them higher if I can, just trade out of the stock altogether. Maybe I'll sell some calls tomorrow, depending on if I get assigned those shares or not. And I also had a couple of day trades here on my taxable account. We can see those day trades. I sold the 275 and 276 puts. And I could have held on to those throughout the day, but I ended up closing those here. You can see the 275 got closed for 4 cents, and the 276 got closed for 10 cents. And I sold those for 55 and 75 cents respectively. So just a little bit of profits there. And then you can see I sold that 272 put here today for Wednesday. I don't know if I'll hold that through Wednesday or not, but I did sell it here today, and we'll see what happens with that going forward. Otherwise, I did sell those 275 puts, which ended up being a pretty profitable trade. Helped protect me from any of this downside here, and I collected some additional credit from Friday to Monday. So you can see net here, $280 on the day. Not a big day, but not a lot of movement today. I just broke through 90,000 for the first time this month, so that's pretty cool. Nice little milestone there. Let me know down in the comments section what you think of my trades or my perception of the markets. If you have any different ideas of the markets, definitely put those down in the comments as well. Like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.